Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another channel update. Why did I start with this voice? I do not know. Oh my god. You know what? I'm just gonna blame it on the heat. Seriously, what is going on with the heat, man? It is crazy. Anyway, not here to talk about the weather, here to talk about the channel. Because this is actually kind of weird, right? Because I usually stick to one video update video per year, and I'm doing a second one? That's pretty crazy. Okay, it's not that crazy, but it's unusual. But I mean, you know, considering what I talked about in the last video, I thought that I guess 6 month later checkup would be nice. Just to give you guys, I guess, an update of where my mind currently is after making such a pretty drastic change. Now, if you weren't here for that video, or maybe you've forgotten somehow, a real brief recap is in the last channel update video I did. The main focus was the change in my release schedule. Now, before 2026, I was releasing a new video every single week, but with 2026, I decided to cut that back and release a video every other week. Now, the main reason for this was to focus more on the content, because I felt like having to not only make a new game every week, but then make a video on that game in the same week was starting to get a little too close for comfort in terms of the speed in which I could produce a video. And that also meant that the things that I could explore or try were very limited, because, you know, if it failed or something went wrong, then that would really endanger, you know, the consistent weekly upload schedule. And so again, that was the reason that I decided to pull back and release a new video every other week to give me some of that extra time to do the things that I said I wanted to do, like, you know, explore and try new things. And so here we are 6 months later, give or take. And I guess the question I wanted to ask myself is, do I have any regrets? And you know what? Yeah, I kind of do. I honestly regret that I did not do this sooner. Now, obviously, I'm going to explain. The biggest change has been just the production in general. You know, it's been far less stressful than it has been in previous years. Again, for the reasons that I explained in the first video. But now, because I do have that extra time, not only can I decide to be more picky with the projects that I choose, like, you know, if something doesn't go as planned, or maybe something doesn't end up working right and it ends up ruining the project's flow, or whatever the case may be, I can now decide to put that project either on the side or completely nix it and pursue something else without, you know, forcing a rush on some other project or idea to make sure that I have time for a video, you know? And so just having that extra time has been so welcomed. But, you know, as a creative person, the thing that I've been adoring and just cherishing the most with this change has been the fact that I now have time to research and explore new ideas. And, you know, I'm not sure if people thought I was maybe being, I guess, hyperbolic in the last video, but I think, and I don't know, I may be biased in this opinion, but I think that this year's projects kind of prove my point, in that the lack of time really sort of stifled the things that I could try to attempt on this channel. Because just a quick recap, you know, I've done so many things that I don't think I would have done otherwise. Like, I learned about buffers, which is a crazy thing to say because buffers used to scare the heck out of me. And I think the more important and obvious one is my venture back into 3D game development as like a full-on 3D thing with like 3D models, 3D code. And that was just stuff that I did not really do even when I did explore 3D back in the day. Like, back in the day, all I really did was just like put blocks together, you know, like when I tried to remake Minecraft, or maybe walk around in a 3D environment. But if you've been keeping up with the channel this year, you've noticed that I've been doing a lot of crazy things with just 3D in general, and it's been a very rewarding experience. And it's honestly something I'm not taking lightly at all. Like, Like, I feel like cherish is the perfect word to describe just how much I am enjoying my time right now. And it's not to say that what I was doing previously I hate it or anything. No, it's just, it feels like the base level of my appreciation and excitement for what I do on this channel has just been raised to a new level, like a new base level, and it's been extremely fun and rewarding, and I couldn't be happier right now. So yeah, I guess if you were curious, I will be sticking with this release schedule for at least the time being, because it works much better with, you know, the fact that, again, I always have to say this because I think sometimes people forget that this is not my job. This is a hobby. This is what I do in my free time. And so this works much better with the fact that I cannot spend like 8 hours a day on a project, you know, as much as I would love to. But, you know, I also gotta say that this change has also really done something to me. It's kind of been inspiring me to take game dev more seriously. And I don't know, all this time I've really not seen myself as a game dev per se. I've just seen myself as like maybe a game dev hobbyist, a huge emphasis on the hobbyist aspect, you know? But lately, I don't know, I've just been feeling more like confidence, I guess, that I didn't have in the past. I don't know, it sounds weird, but it's just, I don't know, it's a mental hang up that I've always had. Maybe it's sort of like imposter syndrome, I don't know. But I say all of this because if you've been keeping up with the channel, then you probably recognize the footage that I'm hopefully including in this video. And that is for a game that I've actually made recently on the channel that I talked about maybe turning into a full release with, you know, that I actually, you know, release as a product. And so if you haven't watched that video yet, I highly recommend you do. I'll put a link in the description because I would like to get some feedback and I would like to try to gauge whether or not it's even worth pursuing. You know, I know that some of you have already left your comments and I really appreciate it, but it's quite the process and I want to be realistic about my approach to this thing because time is very limited. So I want to make sure that I spend time on things people are going to actually engage with and enjoy. And so as I mentioned in that video, a prototype demo of sorts has already been released on my Patreon. But otherwise, yeah, you know, go ahead, check out the video and leave your feedback and let me know just what you think of it. What would need to be included for it to be a product that you would maybe spend money on or tell people about, you know, that sort of stuff. Because I'll be honest, marketing is not my strong suit. I don't know if it's obvious, but marketing is not my strong suit. Networking, not even close to anything that I'm good at. And so I'm basically flying blind right now. I'm just trying my best. But actually, speaking of the Patreon, by the time this goes out, I'll already have posted the first one, but I've wanted to go back and finally give more content to the Patreon because when I originally started it, one of the things I wanted to do was do periodic text updates and coverage of things that happen throughout my game dev journey, you know. But I really got into my own head back then where I was like, I want the articles to be like well written and these large pieces of, you know, that you can really dig into and it's got some good content to it. And eventually I got to the point where nothing I was writing I felt justified asking price, and so eventually I just got incredibly discouraged and just stopped. But especially now that I'm learning so many new things and having so many new experiences, not only can I talk about things that maybe I can't talk about in a video because it would make the videos way too long, but I can also talk about maybe I can get more technical with things, you know. So yeah, I want to release like maybe companion pieces to videos that I release and feature content that you know may not be the main focus of a video. Like, for example, I want to share the models that I've been making for these videos because it's very easy to just see some of these in passing and not even really be able to take in just my journey as even learning 3D modeling, which is something that has been a large part of this new experience for me. So again, I want to be realistic. My life is not that interesting and the development process is not always interesting that I can do this very frequently. but I do want to start doing this as my journey continues and try to give more value to my Patreon. And I realize that especially now are pretty tough times for a lot of people, you know. But yeah, so I want to make sure that if I'm asking for any sort of money, I guess, if money needs to be exchanged for something that I do, I want to make sure that it's worth something, you know. But anyway, the heat is starting to get to me, and I think I've rambled long enough. I think I've said about all I have to say or how it is on my mind right now. So yeah, I'm gonna call it there. Once again, thank you so much to everybody who has supported the channel and has continued to support it in this new version. I hope that the content has been enjoyable. I feel like it may be a little bit more nerdy now because I'm doing a lot of stuff that I can't really show because it's code, you know. It's just a bunch of code, and sometimes that is hard to translate into a visual element. But I hope that I've been doing well in expressing the amount of fun that I have been experiencing making the content recently. And hey, you know, I hope you guys are doing well yourselves. Hope you guys are taking care of yourselves, especially now with this heat and just everything else going on. Remember to look out for yourselves. And with that said, thank you so much for watching or listening to me ramble, and I will see you next time.